You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Radio Show, only on Financial News and Talk. Live in studio, your host, local and national real estate expert and consumer advocate, Ron Siegel.
And hello again. Welcome to Ron Siegel Radio. This is the show with no real boundaries as we discuss current events, financial markets, politics, sports, even poking fun at the rest of the media. This is the show that connects the dots of confusion. Delivered by conflicting media reports. We connect the dots so you know the actions you can take. How your family or business can benefit from current events. Most of all, thank you for joining me. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day. We have a very focused show. We only chat about items that affect the roof over your head, your bank account, and anything I feel would benefit you. But before we get into our intriguing content today, please join me in welcoming our featured guest. First timer on Ron Siegel Radio, Hannah Yang is with us. Good morning.
Morning, Ron. How are you?
Glad to have you with us. And let me remind you, if you ever have any home or finance related questions, I am the consumer advocate looking out for you. And you can reach out to me directly, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. Just remember, that's the number you call anytime for assistance. When you call that number, it comes directly to me first. There are operators standing by.
Quiet, numbskulls. I'm broadcasting.
Well, I do have a great team when it comes to developing a financing plan. A plan to save you money. I personally work with you. Even if you don't have any needs today, save this number in your phone for future reference, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. And of course, we're celebrating today. We celebrate every day on Ron Siegel Radio. Let's see what we've got. Ooh, National Spumoni Day. Do you like spumoni? Are you a spumoni eater? I like ice cream. Got to put some whipped cream on that, though. So we'll just throw that out there. And I don't know who we're going to get on this one, but there is a serious problem on this. Today's National Senior Citizens Day. Are you guys trying to tell me something here? I don't, maybe. I guess if the shoe fits, you got to go with it. Hey, let's see what the markets are doing today. Dow Jones Industrial Average down 225 points. S&P 500 is down 6. NASDAQ is down 56. Oil up 55 cents a barrel. Do we want to look at what gas prices are doing? Yeah, what the heck. $5.25 a gallon right here in the formerly Golden State. Ow! $5.25 a gallon. I'm going to be on the road this weekend, so I'm sure I'll be seeing some of the ugly parts of gasoline prices. $5.25 a gallon. Maybe, can we get a mean tweet and 170 gas prices? Is that possible? Oh, I guess there's no more tweets. It's X's. $4.45 for you, Josh. Not too bad compared to our $5.25. Washington is $5.05. Now, they got the cap and trade up there. They think that if they pay more taxes, that's going to have an effect on climate change. Maybe a pay cap and trade, and it'll help. I don't know. Arizona, $4.23. Brittany over there in Colorado is at $4.02. And our tremendous underwriter, Lori, $3.41 a gallon. $3.41. Do I sound envious? Yes, because I paid over $5 a gallon at Costco this weekend. I don't know. Did you go get gas? Are you in Southern California and go get gas over the weekend? I went to Costco Saturday. You would have thought that the world was coming to an end on Sunday. I know. We had the tropical storm coming into town. And I guess, in California, when you're thinking about rain, we don't get any rain in California, especially in August. I saw some places got 5-6 inches of rain yesterday. I would say that where I live, and I know there's some places that got hit pretty bad, but where I live, it was about a nothing burger. Not only didn't we see the wind wasn't nearly what we expected. The rain didn't seem, we got a lot of rain for August, but it was a rainy day. I could have gone and done almost anything, and we just sat home because it was going to get worse. It was going to consistently get worse. I kept waiting. I went to sleep. It still didn't seem like it got worse. Now, I know our friends out in the Coachella Valley, they got hit hard. I know some of the folks in certain areas, they caught the brunt of it. But, in North Orange County, I don't know that it was nearly what people were expecting. And, you wonder, somebody might have had to wake up the president. I know he's still on vacation 2 years now. But he's going out. He's going to Hawaii today, so we'll see what happens there. If now that's where it got hit worse. That's that's horrific what happened in Hawaii. I used to. I love Maui. That's my favorite island to go to. So watching what's going on over there, serious. Ojai. Now I did notice. I watched some news from Ojai, the epicenter of the earthquake yesterday. I almost started crying. Yes, they did on the news show a fancy wine shop that lost several bottles of reserve wine. So yes, that's heartbreaking. Might have to go in there with a straw. That's a whole different story, though. Let's see what's going on in the world today. NVIDIA, that's the news this week, a combination. NVIDIA announces their earnings this week. Yeah, pretty amazing what we're going to see from them. If they don't come out and just crush their numbers, stock is going to tank because it's priced for perfection. And then we've got on Friday, Jerome Powell is going to be speaking. Now, you know my thinking about the Federal Reserve. Jerome Powell speaking Friday. We're going to hear what his thoughts are about how he's crashing the economy. Oh, no, I'm sorry. He's got to take control of the economy and get our inflation down. Well, if you would look forward instead of backward, maybe we can get an economist to do this time instead of having an attorney. Nothing against attorneys. But, what is the job of attorneys? To protect against bad things, right? That's attorneys for the most part. Their job is to look and try and avoid problems, avoid issues, right? And I've hired lots of attorneys in my lifetime. And they're cautious individuals. Well, looking forward about what's going to be on the horizon, economists, they're looking forward. They're forecasters. And maybe they've got 400 economists, PhDs that you and I pay that work for the Federal Reserve. Yet you get Mary Daly up in Northern California, the easy for me to say. Is it Monday? The Fed governor up in Northern California, and she doesn't listen to the economists to tell her what's going on, what they're forecasting. So they're not looking to see what's going to happen. Where are we headed with inflation? We already know the Federal Reserve has done a lot to get inflation under control. We already know that it takes 6 to 12 months from a Fed rate hike to flow through the economy. Yet they're talking about hiking rates some more. Really? What are they going to wait for? I mean, they've already killed the real estate market. Do you think there's a whole lot of folks that are out there looking to go get a loan as we push 8% mortgages? We're not there yet, but we're getting close. A lot of folks looking for that? I doubt it. A lot of folks looking to sell their house. They've got a 3% mortgage if they want to find something to live. We learned yesterday that Coleman tents are probably not an ideal place for living. So, do you think people are going to get rid of their 3% mortgage to get an 8% or a 7% mortgage? Probably not. When the Federal Reserve starts lowering rates, we might see the economy take off again. Unless we get more spending. And finally, the president did come out in the last week and said his Inflation Reduction Act was really mislabeled. Does anybody not understand that? Surprise. It was all about climate change. A lot of good that did, right? I mean, first time in 80 years we've had a storm watch like this in Southern California, a hurricane or tropical storm. 80 years. But no one's talking about the volcano off of Tonga. Think that might have had anything more to do with it than climate change? Now, I'm all for keeping our planet clean and keeping our earth clean, water clean. But I don't think taxes are going to be the solution to any of this. You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate, current events, and the financial markets. When we come back, why median home sales price is confusing. Maybe we can get our friends over at Chapman University to listen to that segment. We're going to talk about what happens when you don't pay your credit card bill by the due date and talking about trusts and estate planning. All that and more. Reach me anytime. Our off-air number, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com. Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube. Ron Siegel, the numero 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio, your home and mortgage connection.
Homeowners over the age of 62 are taking back financial control after retirement with reverse mortgages, and the Siegel Lending Team is here to help you use it to your advantage. Call Ron Siegel with Geneva Financial to receive your free information booklet with no obligation. The booklet answers all your questions, and the best part is, you still own your home. Call Ron Siegel at 1-800-306-1990 or visit ronsiegelradio.com.
Are you earning a safe, secure 10+% return on your investments? Is your credit score over 800? Are you living in the home of your dreams or simply where you think you can afford? If the answer to any of these questions is no, what are you doing about it? Text ATP to 79564. Complete a 3-minute complimentary survey, and the area trusted professionals of Ron Siegel Radio will reach out to you to develop a success strategy for you. Again, all you need to do is text ATP to 79564.
Do you know a homeowner experiencing divorce? Do you know a real estate reference and the divorce decree could cost tens of thousands of dollars? A certified divorce mortgage planning and real estate report could save you thousands of dollars, and it's free from your local certified divorce lending professional. Reach out to Ron today. RonIsMyLender.com. Again, RonIsMyLender.com. Licensed under NMLS 217037, Equal Housing Lender. Are you like many of your neighbors trying to figure out how to pay off your debts so you can retire someday? Build bigger savings. Invest in opportunities. Visit RSRNoDebt.com. Debt will destroy 50% of Americans from being able to retire earlier and with more. What if you could have a guaranteed program that could show you how to eliminate all of your debt in 10 years or less, all without having to spend more each month than you spend right now? Yes, that's correct. All without spending more from your checkbook each month than you are today. Get your free analysis today to see if you qualify. Visit RSRNoDebt.com. Log on today for your free analysis. RSRNoDebt.com. No purchase necessary. The free analysis takes only 2 minutes. RSRNoDebt.com. Ron Siegel Radio is your home and mortgage connection. Go to RSRNoDebt.com. RSRNoDebt.com.
Are you a renter and tired of making monthly payments? Paying off someone else's mortgage? Hey, it's Ron Siegel here to help you stop renting and start owning your dream home with amazing low interest rates. And you could potentially qualify for a $500,000 home for less than $5,000 out of pocket. So stop renting. Start owning with Ron Siegel. Learn more at ronsiegelradio.com and start owning today. Licensed under NMLS 217037, Equal Housing Lender.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. The Mortgage Minute today being brought to you by our friends at Geneva Financial. When you're ready for that next home loan, Geneva's got the programs and the products. Make the call, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. Every day at this time, OBMMI, they provide the most comprehensive, accurate, timely, and interactive analysis of pricing ever conducted in the mortgage industry, calculated from actual locked rates with consumers across 42% of all mortgage transactions nationwide. They do not tell us APR. They don't tell us points paid, points received. They just tell us the locked rates. 30-year conforming loans, 7.20, up a little bit. I'm down a little bit. Jumbo loans, 30 years, 7.437. That one was up a little bit. The 30-year FHA, 6.959, down a little bit. 30-year USDA loan, 6.868. That was down nicely. And the best loan on the market, that's the VA loan. You know, we love our veterans. We appreciate them. I couldn't do what I do every day. Most of you couldn't either. 30-year VA loan down a little bit, 6.908. And if you want our market, this is all from Friday. If you want our market commentary, we share that every business day morning. Go to rsrmarketminute.com, rsrmarketminute.com. You'll get that sent to you. What's happening in the markets today? The 10-year Treasury is up 9 basis points. We'll talk about that in a minute. S&P 500 down 6.43. Mortgage-backed securities are down 44 basis points. And I'm going to tell you right here, right now, that is painful because when the bond goes down, the rates go up. So we're seeing interest rates up dramatically this morning. A 44 basis point hike is not normal. That is a big jump. Why? Well, we're watching this 10-year is once again testing critical overhead levels. Might have even broken through them since we've been on air. When the 10-year yield moves higher, the corresponding price moves lower. Investors that want to bet on a 10-year price moving lower and yield moving higher go what's called short. So they short or sell the 10-year Treasury. They don't own it. They sell it, they borrow it, and at some point in time, they have to buy it back to cover that short or to repay that borrowed interest. So right now, there's $800 billion in short interest in the 10-year Treasury, up 20% in just the last month alone. That means a lot of investors think that bond is going to go down, rates are going to go up even higher. Remember, these investors don't own the 10-year Treasuries, and since they're short, they have to buy 10-year Treasuries when they want to eventually close out their position. If there is a catalyst and a price moves higher, causing yield to move lower, there could be a rush to close out those positions, meaning that the bond prices will go up and rates will come down. We hope. But I don't know whether that's going to really happen anytime soon because the catalyst, the only thing we're watching right now, seriously, on the way of bond prices, won't happen until Friday morning, 5 minutes after 7 hour time is when Jerome Powell starts speaking. And you know what, Jerome Powell. Yes. If he starts giving us more of his hawkish talk and that the Fed has more to do, well, we could see rates go even higher at that point. So we're going to be watching that for you. We're also going to watch Tuesday, existing home sales, Wednesday, new home sales, Thursday, durable goods and initial jobless claims. That Jackson Hole Symposium starts on Wednesday. Powell speaks on Friday. That's the Mortgage Minute brought to you by our friends at Geneva Financial. When you're ready for that next home loan, Geneva's got the programs and the products. You got the phone. Make that call, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. And this morning, we're going to chat about trusts. Hannah Yang is with us. Barth Calderon is the name of her firm. Not giving legal advice. You don't turn the radio on to get legal advice. So if you want legal advice, you have to call her at her office, make an appointment, and that's how she supports her family, is by giving legal advice there, not on the radio. We're just chatting. You get to listen in. And how are you this morning?
I'm fine. I'm great.
So we're going to talk a little bit about trust. That's your world, right?
That is.
Okay, so talk from a high level. We don't want to get into specifics.
Okay.
Do I need one? Do I need a trust?
You know, that's a great question. It depends, right? And so,
Something I get a lot of attorneys that come on and they always start the same way. It depends.
yeah.
Kind of like an economist.
Right. Yeah. But we want all our advice to be tailored to the person. So,
Right.
you know, a boilerplate answer would never suffice.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah. If you're thinking about, about
Dying.
the future,
Oh.
yeah, if one day you'll die, you probably will need a trust, right? Especially if you're a Californian. And I say that because one of the primary purposes of setting up a trust is you want to avoid this thing called probate. And probate is a process where it's a court supervised process where all your assets are gathered, they're inventoried, they're liquidated and divided among your beneficiaries.
Do they have to be liquidated? Or can we say, well, I want my sister to get this and I want that?
Sure. Yeah.
Is that allowed in a probate?
Yes, it is. But you want to have some say in that process. So if you
Right.
want to have some say in that process, you want to have an estate plan. And so, not to backtrack too much, getting away from your original question of do we need a trust, but you want to have at least something in place, right? And so at a minimum, I'm thinking everyone should have at least a will, right?
Okay.
Okay. So a will is a set of instructions that you're setting for the court for all your assets to be passed off to your beneficiary in a certain manner. A trust gives you the advantage of having to allowing you to avoid that process, avoid the probate process, a court supervised process, and allowing that process to happen privately.
That's a big one too, right there, is
Right.
privately.
Right, right. You don't want the whole world to know what you have, who your beneficiaries are, and how you want that
Yeah,
distributed.
that guy that won the lottery in what, North Carolina, South Carolina last week, I bet he got a lot more family in the last week.
Oh yeah, people coming out of the woods everywhere, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's going to be the big issue, is it, to kind of set it down as far as giving my wishes, my final wishes.
Your final wishes, and so
I
that's
say it's a gift. I look at a trust as being my gift to my family.
absolutely, yeah, absolutely. It's a way of really kind of putting together, kind of with a nice, nicely tied bow, what you want to do with your assets and really maximizing the reach of your assets, but doing it in a way that remains private, that remains an efficient process, and there's going to be costs involved. So it's a matter of how much do you want to pay? Do you want to pay the exorbitant probate costs, or do you want to keep it at a level that you can manage now, right? So people think about the costs of putting a trust together, and they initially kind of do a double take, but
So give me an idea. What is a comparison, of a moderate family?
Mhm.
Orange County, California, we know that the median home price now is over $1 million.
Right.
So if I have just a median priced home, is cost of a trust versus cost of probate, is there any correlation in there at all that we could even just not specifics, but just a
Sure.
guess?
Yeah. So like I'm thinking thousands of dollars for a trust as opposed to tens of thousands of dollars for probate. So
Wow.
think in terms of those lines. That's kind of the scale.
Thousands versus tens of thousands.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I just looked it up while we're sitting here chatting. Median home price is $1,141,000 in Orange County, California, according to, I think it's Black Knight, is that where we get this information. $1,141,000. So the last time I spoke with an attorney about this, and it may or may not be right, it's about 5% is what you have to figure for probate.
Right. It's kind of a sliding scale, based on like the first 100 or 200,000, it kind of changes. But yeah, I think ballpark 5% would be accurate.
So you're looking at about $55,000 on if you just own the home and nothing else.
Right.
No cars, no collectibles, no artwork, no 401k, no IRAs,
Right.
no asset accounts.
Right.
It's $55,000 right there.
Right. And to avoid probate, if your assets here in California were about 180,000 or less, you kind of get a pass. But if you're a homeowner in California, and if you don't have a trust, you're at some point down the line, you're looking at probate.
I guess there's no way out. We're going to die at some point. Haven't figured a different exit strategy. Okay, and so is it safe to say most of us can get a trust done for somewhere between $2,000 to $10,000?
Absolutely.
Right. So think about that concept. It's a great gift. You're gonna die, right? I mean, hopefully not soon, but it's gonna happen. Nobody got up this morning saying that they're gonna get an accident on the 405 freeway. It's not moving that quickly right now, but and there's somebody's gonna have an accident. Somebody's not gonna go home today. We talk about that portion of it all the time on Ron Siegel Radio because it really is a serious concept. Which way is the quicker way of going of dealing with an estate? Is it going through the trust or going through the probate?
So right now in California, the average time is about 2 years. So
For a trust or a probate?
for probate.
2 years for probate.
Yeah, 2 to 3 years.
Wow.
So I know some other states, they're a little bit more efficient. They don't have as a dense of a population, so you're looking at months. So you're not talking about property being held up and frozen, rental income not coming in. So you're not dealing with those realities outside of California in certain states, but in California you are. And so it's not just a matter of how long it takes, but what effect that has on your property. And so that's where
We
you
made a
should-
comment there that I've never heard before. What is it? What is the effect that the probate has on rent? So somebody,
So if let's say if you don't have the title to the home because it's in the name of the deceased person,
right?
the beneficiaries, let's say there's no trustee or executor appointed now, the beneficiaries are kind of at the mercy of the probate court and how quickly the property gets liquidated or distributed. And so
Wow. Okay.
and that's in that amount of time, beneficiaries could lose out on rental income.
Wow. That's a pretty serious issue right there. And if you don't have a joint bank account with that person, who's paying the mortgage?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right?
That's exactly the reason why you've got to have something in place, right? You've got to have something in place. So the estate plan accounts for that with either a trust or a will, and then as well as different powers of attorney.
We're going to talk more about that when we come back. You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate current events and the financial markets. What are all the documents you need in this trust? Is it just one piece of paper, or are there other documents as well? We're going to talk more about that with Hannah Yang when we come back. We're also going to chat a little bit. Why median home price, sales price is confusing. Chapman University. We'll talk about that when we come back. You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing real estate current events in the financial markets. You can reach me anytime. Our off-air number, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube. Ron Siegel, the numeral 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio. Your home and mortgage connection.
Do you know a homeowner experiencing divorce? Do you know a real estate reference and the divorce decree could cost tens of thousands of dollars? A certified divorce mortgage planning and real estate report could save you thousands of dollars, and it's free from your local certified divorce lending professional. Reach out to Ron today. RonIsMyLender.com. Again, RonIsMyLender.com. Licensed under NMLS 217037, Equal Housing Lender. Are you like many of your neighbors trying to figure out how to pay off your debts so you can retire someday? Build bigger savings. Invest in opportunities. Visit rsrnodebt.com. Debt will destroy 50% of Americans from being able to retire earlier and with more. What if you could have a guaranteed program that could show you how to eliminate all of your debt in 10 years or less, all without having to spend more each month than you spend right now? Yes, that's correct. All without spending more from your checkbook each month than you are today. Get your free analysis today to see if you qualify. Visit rsrnodebt.com. Log on today for your free analysis. rsrnodebt.com. No purchase necessary. The free analysis takes only 2 minutes. rsrnodebt.com. Ron Siegel Radio is your home and mortgage connection. Go to rsrnodebt.com. rsrnodebt.com.
Are you earning a safe, secure 10+% return on your investments? Is your credit score over 800? Are you living in the home of your dreams or simply where you think you can afford? If the answer to any of these questions is no, what are you doing about it? Text ATP to 79564. Complete a 3-minute complimentary survey, and the area trusted professionals of Ron Siegel Radio will reach out to you to develop a success strategy for you. Again, all you need to do is text ATP to 79564.
Are you a veteran, own a home, and need money? The Siegel Lending Team is here to help veterans refinance and get the money they need. The VA 100 lets you borrow up to 100% of your home's value, refinance your mortgages, consolidate credit cards, and lower your payments by an average of $700 a month. And the Siegel Lending Team knows that character means more than a credit score. Call 800-306-1990. That's 800-306-1990. Rate subject to change without notice. Licensed by the California Department of Corporations, NMLS 21037, and DRE number 0186945. You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
There are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio. or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, the real-time real estate segment today being brought to you by rsrmoney.com. rsrmoney.com. Why median home sales price is confusing right now. You know what? It's amazing how many folks just don't understand median home sales price. And I know my friends over at Chapman University understand it, but then they did their update recently. They did not explain it. So a lot of confusion because the Orange County Register came out and gave a whole lot of bad information. Wasn't inaccurate. It was just misleading. So let's talk about it. The National Association of Realtors, NAR, is set to release its most recent existing home sales report tomorrow. This monthly release provides information on the volume of sales and price trends for homes that have previously been owned. In the upcoming release, it'll likely say home prices are down. This may seem a bit confusing, especially if you've been following along and reading and listening to our radio programs. Home prices hit bottom and have since rebounded. So why would they say home prices are falling when so many other price reports say they're going back up? It all depends on the methodology of each one. NAR reports on the median home sales price, while other sources use repeat sales prices. Here's how those approaches differ. The Center for Real Estate Studies at Wichita State University explains median sales price like this, quote, the median sales price measures the middle price of homes that sold, meaning that half of the homes sold for a higher price and half sold for less. For example, if more lower priced homes have sold recently, the median sales price would decline because the middle home is now a lower priced home, even if the value of each individual home is rising, unquote. Investopedia helps define what a repeat sales approach means. Quote, repeat sales methods calculate changes in home prices based on sales of the same property, thereby avoiding the problem of trying to account for price differences in homes with varying characteristics, unquote. The challenge with median home sales price today, as the quotes say above, the approaches can tell different stories. That's why median home sales price, like EHS, may say prices are down, even though the vast majority of the repeat sales show prices are appreciating again. Bill McBride, author of Calculated Risk Blog, sums up the difference like this, quote, median prices are distorted by mix and repeat sales indices like Case-Shiller and FHA are probably better for measuring prices, unquote. To drive the point home, here's a simple explanation of median value. And I don't know, I got it to Josh late. I don't know, do you have that chart, Josh? Yeah, of course he does. So to drive it home, let's take a look at this chart. If you're watching us on RonSiegelRadio.tv, any of our socials at ABC News and Talk AM 1490 video feed, let's say you have 3 coins in your pocket. You decide to line them up according to their value from high to low. If you have 1 nickel, 2 dimes, the median value, the middle one, is 10 cents. If you have 2 nickels and 1 dime, the median value is now 5 cents. In both cases, a nickel is still worth 5 cents. A dime is still worth 10 cents. The value of each coin did not change. That's why using the median home sales price as a gauge of what's happening with home values may be confusing right now. Most buyers look at home prices as a starting point to determine if they match their budgets. But most people buy homes based on the monthly mortgage payment they can afford, not just the price of the house. When mortgage rates are higher, you may have to buy a less expensive home to keep your monthly housing expense affordable. That's why a greater number of less expensive houses are selling right now, and that's causing the median home sales price to decline. But that does not mean any single house lost value. When you see the stories in the media that prices are falling later this week, remember the coins I just talked about. Just because the median home sales price changes, it doesn't mean home prices are falling. What it means is the mix of homes being sold is being impacted by affordability and current mortgage rates. Bottom line, for a more in-depth of understanding the home price trends, give me a call, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. That is the real-time real estate segment brought to you by rsrmoney.com, rsrmoney.com. Continue our conversation with Hannah Yang. Barth Calderon is the name of the firm. An attorney not giving us legal advice today. Hannah and I are just chatting. about a subject that should be important to you if you are still living, if you are still breathing, and if you own a home, plan to own a home, have kids, plan to have kids, own a car, own assets, own a 401k, you're human, the chances are good at some point within the next 100 years, you will die. Hopefully it's on the longer end of that. And you need to have an estate plan. You need to know what is going to happen to all your stuff. I got to see Hannah speak last week, and you actually made a comment, Hannah, that I've shared on radio many, many times. Everybody has an estate plan.
That's right. Everyone does. Yeah.
Okay, explain that a little bit.
Yeah, everyone has an estate plan, and it's something that's decided for them by the state they reside in. So for Californians, it's the state of California, the intestacy laws. So I know that's a fancy word, but intestacy or intestate just means that if you don't have a will, those are the default provisions that would apply. So
either I get to create it myself, or the state's going to create it, one or the other.
Right, it's already been created. So
they don't even have to do it.
It's already been created. Yeah, and the formula kind of follows as far as like where, if you're married, if you have children, whether the children are born from your prior relationships, your current one, there is a distribution scheme that's already set in place. So if you don't have a will, and or if you don't have a trust, that is what basically will, control how everything gets passed on by a court in a court supervised process.
And so when you get the court involved, that means it's going to be slow.
It's going to be slow,
expensive, and probably not the way I want it.
Right.
Most likely.
Depending on what type of executor you get, right? Depending on
explain that. What does that mean? What kind of an executor you get?
Yeah, the executor is the person who the court will appoint to do all the things that to basically gather your assets, inventory them, and then distribute them among your beneficiaries.
Is there a specific formula that they would use or a guideline? Like if I die without a trust, is my stuff going to, and I've got 3 kids and a wife.
Right.
Does it all go to my wife, or is it going to go to all 4 of them equally, or how's that going to?
So it depends on whether the property that you had is considered community property or separate property.
Okay.
So I don't want to get too much into the weeds because I know, but if it was community property, then there's a certain, your half, right, would pass to your wife. That's if you were just married, without kids, right? But once you have kids, some of that will have to be passed on to your children. Now, it depends on depends on whether some of the property that you had you owned prior to getting married. So classic example is I've seen several times now are people who had started businesses before they got married. So even if their spouse had helped, create and kind of foster and, make that business thrive during that relationship. And let's say that business was created really close to the inception of the marriage. It's technically separate property because it was started before the marriage.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So then a whole set of different intestacy laws apply that would be more disadvantageous to the spouse if you were, the person were to die without a trust or.
Now I'm in serious trouble because my corporations are all owned just by my wife. I don't even have any ownership. And she controls everything anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Right. But now all of these things are going to go the other direction or go the other way if I have a trust, right? So my wife and I would sit down together and decide what's going to happen with our stuff.
Right. So if you have a trust, right, you can decide how your businesses, how your assets pass, whether they're separate property or community property. You have a say. And the court is required to follow that, right? So
now, does it matter whether it's a revocable trust or an irrevocable trust?
So it doesn't matter. So the terms will control, but a lot of times,
when we talk about having a trust,
yeah.
So if I say, okay, I've got a trust, my wife and I went and got a trust made.
Mm-hmm.
What is that generally? Not always, but generally, is that going to be revocable or irrevocable?
Generally, we're talking about a family trust, which is a revocable living
revocable
trust. Revocable, meaning you can change it, right? During during your lifetime, you and your wife, let's say it's a joint trust, you can change the terms, you can put assets into it, you can take assets out of it, you can change the beneficiaries, you can change, the date that you set at which your children can inherit. So there's so many different things you can do, and it's flexible. And
so I can determine when my kids get this, even though I've passed.
Well, once you pass, oh, you mean like you set that in place? Yes.
in the trust?
Right.
So I could say that they're not going to get anything until they're 80. Not
Technically,
smart, but I could.
Right. Technically, you can. If you
Okay.
can find a trustee who can live that long.
Do I find a trustee? Okay.
To
So
administer
do I
those
get to determine who the trustee is going to be too? Or
Absolutely.
the successor trustee?
Absolutely.
Oh, I get to make all those decisions.
All those decisions.
Do I avoid probate if I have a trust?
So technically, yes, if the trust was formed correctly, there's no problems with the actual drafting of the trust, execution of the trust, and there's no questions about the validity of it, as well as if you actually put the items that are in your estate into the trust. So if you create
That's a biggie right there, isn't
that's a
it?
huge one. That's called funding. So there really would be no point in creating this fancy trust and then not actually funding it with your assets, because then it's not really effective. And you do
It's
have
good paperweight though.
It's good. It's great paperweight. The attorneys get paid. The court will get paid to administer that trust. in
So
probate court.
the last time I had heard, and we're gonna have to talk about this when we come back, but last time I heard that like 80% of the trusts that were created were not funded properly. And I want to chat with you about that when we come back. You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate current events and the financial markets. We're going to have to talk about our credit card bills and not paying them on time tomorrow because I talk too much and we're not going to have time today. So we'll talk about that tomorrow, but we're going to talk more with Hannah Yang when we come back. You can reach me anytime. Off-air number 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube, Ron Siegel, the numeral 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio. Your home and mortgage connection.
Are you a renter and tired of making monthly payments? Paying off someone else's mortgage? Hey, it's Ron Siegel here to help you stop renting and start owning your dream home with amazing low interest rates. And you could potentially qualify for a $500,000 home for less than $5,000 out of pocket. So stop renting. Start owning with Ron Siegel. Learn more at ronsiegelradio.com and start owning today. Licensed under NMLS 217037, Equal Housing Lender. Hey friends, do you dream of mortgage-free home ownership? Are you aware that even if you own your home free and clear, it could still be costing you thousands per year? The Siegel Lending Team can help you generate tax-free income, accumulate family wealth, and maintain ownership of your home. By simply emailing your most recent mortgage statement, you'll receive a no-obligation real estate plan. Learn more by calling 1-800-306-1990 or email me your recent mortgage statement to PEAR@ronsiegelradio.com. Licensed under NMLS 217037, Equal Housing Lender.
Are you like many of your neighbors trying to figure out how to pay off your debts so you could retire someday? Build bigger savings. Invest in opportunities. Visit rsrnodebt.com. Debt will destroy 50% of Americans from being able to retire earlier and with more. What if you could have a guaranteed program that could show you how to eliminate all of your debt in 10 years or less, all without having to spend more each month than you spend right now? Yes, that's correct. All without spending more from your checkbook each month than you are today. Get your free analysis today to see if you qualify. Visit rsrnodebt.com. Log on today for your free analysis, rsrnodebt.com. No purchase necessary. The free analysis takes only 2 minutes. rsrnodebt.com. Ron Siegel Radio is your home and mortgage connection. Go to rsrnodebt.com. rsrnodebt.com. Are you tired of paying rent? Are you tired of paying someone else's mortgage? Do you know qualified folks can potentially purchase a $500,000 home for less than $5,000 out of pocket? Ron Siegel can help qualified people purchase their own home at amazing interest rates. If you're tired of paying someone else's mortgage, reach out to Ron today at ronismylender.com. That's ronismylender.com. Licensed under NMLS 217037, Equal Housing Lender.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions. as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. The Borrow Smart segment being brought to you by rsrstudentloanhelp.com, rsrstudentloanhelp.com. Not going to get to the article today, but I do want to make sure that you know there are some important changes coming up the end of this month. If you haven't taken care of getting registered, rsrstudentloanhelp.com, you may lose lots of money by not taking action before the end of the month. That is the Borrow Smart segment brought to you by rsrstudentloanhelp.com. Hey, if you're watching us on YouTube today, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe button, the thumbs up button, whatever they have there. Any of the channels, if you do that for us, it'll sure help us out. And it'll make sure that the algorithms know that we're giving you information of value and we're not even charging you for it. Chatting with Hannah Yang this morning, attorney, not giving legal advice, but we're chatting about funding of the trust is what we were talking about before the break. And I've heard that the numbers, and it's just, I don't have the sourcing of it, but I've been told 80% of trusts are not funded properly. So wouldn't surprise me. And again, nothing against any service or not. Better to have something than nothing. But if you don't fund it, it might be better to have nothing than something. You go on LegalZoom or go on and get a template and you create a trust and you get a real nice book and it's done. I know there's a company out of San Diego that does these things and they charge like $500 for it. Get the book back. You know what that book is good for? Insomnia. Doesn't help you at all when you die because you haven't funded the trust. So, Hannah, what is funding a trust? Why don't you go into that a little bit?
Yeah, funding is when you're changing the title of your assets into the name of the trust, so that now the assets belong to the trust and they instead of belonging to you. So when you pass,
so wait, I lose my house then?
What do you mean?
What belongs to the trust doesn't belong to me anymore?
Right. Yeah. So you're right. It does now belong to the trust, but when we're
The
talking
trust
about
belongs to me.
the trust belongs to you.
Okay,
And
there we
as
go.
the creator or settler grantor of that trust, you are the trustee of that trust. You still have, authority over that piece of property.
So there's no change in the way I control it or have to answer to anybody.
That's right. That's right. But then by appointing a set of, successor trustees to manage it upon your death, that title does not have to then go through probate upon your death. It can smoothly transition to your successor trustee or trustees to manage and distribute upon your death.
So what are the other documents that are involved? When I go to a professional like yourself, what are the other documents? I get the trust, but are there other documents that are part of that package of creating a estate plan?
Yeah. So with our firm, and I think with a lot of estate planning firms, you've got the trust, but then you also have an accompanying will. And it's different to be distinguished from just a standalone will where you don't have a trust. A pour over will. So when you get a trust, you get a pour over will, and why it's called a pour over will because just in case you forgot to put some assets into the property, it's a set of instructions to the judge, telling him or her to please, nicely put those assets into your trust. So it's that also includes your guardians and executors. So that would be another document. You also need your durable power of attorney, where you appoint somebody to take over for you if you're ever incapacitated to handle all your financial decisions, your taxes.
So is there a different power of attorney that I need for my finances versus my medical care?
Yes. So the one I just talked about was for finances, but for your medical care, you would need advanced healthcare directives, and that could include a living will, where some people are pretty sure that they do not want to be resuscitated. They know what their end of life decisions are, which are to not continue on life support. So that's something that you could incorporate into your advanced healthcare directives. There's also some HIPAA waiver documents, just allowing a certain number of people to have access and control over your medical information and discuss that information with your medical providers.
So those are that's all part of a estate planning package.
That's all part of it. Yeah, there's a lot of other documents, a lot of other ancillary documents to a certification of trust, form letters. all designed to help you fund the trust properly. But for the most part, those are the elements of a basic estate plan that you can have prepared by an estate planning law firm.
Interesting. And that's now, if I get all that stuff and I do it the right way and I go to somebody that understands, then I don't have to go through probate. I can
That's
avoid the
correct.
judge.
That is the ideal. That is the goal. And if we've done our job correctly as lawyers, that is what your beneficiaries will avoid. They will avoid probate.
So I had somebody just this weekend that told me that, that they got a trust done like 10 years ago. Does that mean they're all good, or should you be revisiting your attorney, periodically to have them review everything?
I think 10 years it's been a while. So I would say at least get it reviewed by an attorney for changes. There have been changes in the federal estate exemption. Currently it's about 12.9 million per individual, but that's set to go away potentially in 2026. So that could, have affect what type of trust your attorney is going to advise you to get if you're married. So as far as like the tax savings that you could get, and not to get into the weeds, but there are A trusts and there are AB trusts. There are a number of trusts that you can do to take advantage of tax savings, and a lot of it depends on what type of assets that you can have that you have. So there might be changes to your children. They might no longer be minors, or they might no longer be 80 years old, right? And maybe they can take outright now, or maybe you want to change the conditions that you pose on your beneficiaries. Maybe one of your beneficiaries is now a special needs individual and is receiving government benefits, and you might want to put in some special needs provisions, or maybe create a standalone special needs trust. So there's so many reasons why you should get your estate plan reviewed when you have major life changes. Even if you don't have them, because of the changing nature of the tax laws, it would be beneficial to get them reviewed by an estate planning attorney at least every couple years, if not regularly, annually.
Now, leading a lending team, I know that there's certain problems involved if a property is left to a minor.
That's right. Right.
So, can the trust deal with that?
Absolutely.
As far as saying, okay, until Johnny's X number of years old, this is how we're going to deal with it?
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's another reason why people set trusts in place, even if they didn't have property, but they had minor children, that you run into the same issues. If you have a minor child, anyone below the age of 18, banks will not turn over those funds to a minor. So they will get held up in probate. So it is critical to have a trust if you have property, if you have minor children, especially if you have children with disabilities too.
Now, if I have minor children, will my trust tell me, will my trust identify who I want to take care of them in my absence?
So that they would, that would identify the trustees and the age at which they can inherit, and in the manner in which they inherit, like whether they would inherit.
What about guardianship?
Yeah, guardianship would be listed in the will. So
guardianship is in the will.
Is in the will.
Ah, okay. Yeah. So you got to have all that stuff.
You got to have all that stuff. Yeah.
Need to understand it, know who's going to take care of who, and
right.
and where we're going from there.
That's right.
Fascinating. There's a lot to it. It's not just a matter of the boilerplate.
That's right.
Interesting. Now, will a trust help me protect from assets if I get sued?
So
or is that a whole nother?
That's a whole nother. Yeah. So that's a whole nother.
Okay, we're gonna have to have Hannah 2.0. Yeah. we'll get into that one in a different day. But special needs, can that help my special needs child maintain their benefits? Is that what the idea of that is?
That's the idea. If you wanted to maintain those benefits while supplementing the resources that they can receive without getting disqualified from some of these benefits that have asset and income limits. So if you are just looking at the government benefits themselves, usually it's not going to be enough to sustain your child, especially if they're trying to make it on their own. If you're wanting to supplement that in some way without disqualifying them from their benefits, it would be beneficial to set up a separate special needs trust and
that's a whole nother trust.
That's a whole nother trust as well.
If you want more information about this, don't call me. Well, call me, because I'm not going to give it to you. I'm going to give you Hannah's number, because Hannah's the one that's going to know how to do these things. You don't want to leave this just to chance. It's too important. And I talk about this on a regular basis. A trust is probably one of the best gifts you can give to your heirs, your estate, your community, because that way everyone knows exactly what you had in mind. There's no guesswork, and you're not leaving it to a judge. Judges have a lot on their plate, and they're just going to follow the basics of what the law says. And maybe you had something completely different in mind. So if you want more information about this, give me a call at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. I'll put you in touch with Hannah Yang. She's the one, the attorney that can help you with it. Again, we don't give legal advice on Ron Siegel Radio, but Hannah can do that at her office, make an appointment with her, and have a chat. And as always, I ask, set that first radio preset button to come back here and join Ron Siegel Radio, where we only speak about items affecting your house and your bank account. Thanks to all of our sponsors. Big thanks to Josh and Sean who are engineering us today. And of course, a special thanks to you for spending a little bit of your day with us. That's all for Ron Siegel Radio. Again, if you have any questions or to meet any of our guests, call me anytime. 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. And remember, make a lot of money so you can help a lot of people and have a lot of fun. Have a great day. We'll talk to you next time on Ron Siegel Radio.